All Superior YMCA. I am Jen, your health and wellness director, and I am here with Ashley and Jill. How are we doing today, ladies?
Good.
Good. Hope you guys are doing well at home. Our comments today are going to be about fitness trends for 2020. I did a little bit of research here to see what was coming our way, what was going to stay trendy and hot as we get into our gym routines again. And a couple of these kind of surprised me, actually. I have a couple lists here that were interesting, but still wearable technology is still trendy this next year. So your Apple Watches, your Fitbits, all that good stuff, right? Look at that. It's still kind of in the trend. So what do you guys like about your devices?
I like that it tells me the time. I don't have to look at my phone.
That's a watch.
That's number one. Watch, Jill.
Number one. I like to watch.
Otherwise, I wouldn't wear a watch. I'm like, this has more functions than just being a watch, which,
Yeah.
I like that it tracks, what I sleep. I don't know. Still don't know how they get that, but that's technology for you. But I like it just makes you mindful throughout the day. Like, oh, I've been sitting down for an hour. Maybe I need to get up. Reminds me to move, pick up my butt.
How long have you had your Fitbit?
I got the 3 or 4 years ago. I got the original Fitbit, and then I just upgraded to the Versa 2 this year. Fancy. Valentine's Day gift.
Ooh.
But I've had it for 4 years, and I really liked it. I really like it. I like the newer version.
Negatives?
Control Spotify from your watch.
Oh, nice.
I love it.
That you don't like at all, or is it all good stuff?
It's all good stuff.
Good.
So far, I've had problems with the bands breaking because I take it off and on so much. So we'll see how this one works out.
Nice. How about you, Ashley? You have an Apple Watch?
Yeah, I have the Apple Watch. I think it's the Series 3, so it's old now compared to, I think they're on the 5 or the 6 or who knows. But I've had it for a little over a year. Josh got it for me for my birthday last year. And it's just been really nice and convenient for stopwatch or timers. And then it's connected to my phone because I have an iPhone. So when we're in class and I need to change the song or pause the music, I could do that without having to walk over to the station over there in the corner and just be able to do it, explain something or whatever, and then do it right then and there, especially with gripper classes like that where you have to do it to the music. It just saves I don't know, time, and then I get to start on the first rep instead of being and we already missed the first one.
That's me.
Because you're walking back and then you're oh, now I have to get the bar on my back, and it's it just takes longer than you have to get started. But I do like the different features for tracking your different workouts too, and kind of knowing how much calories you're burning. And your phone does steps too, but I think this is probably a little more accurate. The one thing I don't like though is that it does not track your spin workouts that accurately, because it'll do the calories and stuff because it's detecting your heart rate, but it won't tell you how far you went or anything, because your hand is sitting there on the handlebar, or it's not. I've seen a couple people in our classes they'll put it around their ankle during class so that way they get the
or your shoelace.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that is one kind of downfall, but I don't know that any watch can really pick up a spin or bike class because your arms just are stationary. And I don't know that mine is waterproof. I mean, I don't do Water X really, but I think it's water resistant. I just don't know if you can actually put it underwater. I think some pressure differences in a lot of electronics, phones and watches, that's the problem with it, but it's not really, I don't really need that function. So
yeah.
I don't really
I
care.
used to, what was that?
I said I don't need that function, so I don't really care.
I don't really care. She's not a big fan of the pool, for those of you that don't know, so you will be having splash classes anytime soon. I used to have several different Fitbits, actually. I think when I started working out and everything and walking, I just bought a very simple pedometer because it was really nice to know how many steps you were doing and a good accountability factor for me throughout the day. And then I did get, I have to even think back now. It's been a while since I had one of the first like Fitbits, and I enjoyed it. And then I kind of elevated up to like the Blaze, and I had the Surge for a while there too. I'm not a huge watch fan myself. Like I don't necessarily like things on my wrists, but I really liked it for fitness. I felt like it was super motivating, like watching your heart rate and getting your steps in and all your calories that you were able to count. And I thought that it was really good for me when I was first starting into fitness, for sure. It got to a point where I was obsessed with it though. Like I would be that person at the foot of my bed at like 10 to midnight, right? To get like 20,000 steps in or something ridiculous. Excuse me. And I think on my Fitbit Surge, I had hit 50,000 steps twice. And to be able to do that, I had been walking around the parking lot at the YMCA to try to finish getting out my steps. So I think it's great motivator for sure. But I think for me, like I really got like obsessive compulsive with it. Excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat. So I think it's a great motivator for sure. I still have a tickle. Excuse me. Okay, so any other comments as our computers freeze here for just a moment with some technical difficulties? Any other comments we want to share about like the wearable like devices? What we any other input?
No,
I don't really use any other, I feel like.
no.
Do you feel like it kind of runs your workout though? Like, do you look at it and think like, I know my heart rate's higher than this, or I think I should have had more calories, or I know I should have more steps by the end of the day. Do you kind of does it discourage you at all when you're not reaching some of those goals that you think you should be at?
No. I look at him like, well, I'll try tomorrow.
Good. That's good. That's how it should be.
I don't really feel like
I don't.
look at it while I work out, especially if I'm like teaching or working
Yeah.
with someone else, because it's like you don't really have the time to look at it, or like, and if you're teaching multiple classes a day, it's like, well, try again in an hour. You'll get more.
Right. True. Very true.
But I do think I have been that person, like you said, Jen, though, like if I'm like, because on the Apple Watch, it has like the rings for like your calories, your exercise minutes, and then your standing hours. So if I'm like,
Okay.
and usually the standing hours isn't very difficult. It's 12 like standing hours a day. And then if I work out, mine's like 30 minutes is like the minimum to like get that ring closed. But if I'm a few, like less than 50 calories away and it's like almost bedtime, I'll like walk around the house, or I'll sit there and like shake my arm for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll get it.
But if it's like,
This does not count.
some days I'm just kind of like, okay, I worked really hard the rest of the week. I don't really need to burn this many calories today. Like it's okay for me to take a day off and take a little bit of a break and just like
Yeah.
stretch, foam roll, go for a walk, and not really be too concerned about those like numbers. But
I think for me, like now with this time off, I've been taking, I don't have any devices now or even a pedometer. So I have been bringing my phone with me. And I do have an iPhone, so it has that like health app on there and it does count your steps. So I have been running and I do make sure that I bring that with me. And so like today, it's pretty motivating that by, 9 o'clock, I already had 10,000 steps from my run this morning. So I mean, it kind of drives me through the day, but right now I kind of need that motivation because with us being home and kind of sedentary slightly, even though we're still working out, making our videos and stuff, but I do feel like it is still motivating right now to get me up and moving. And so I'm glad that I have that on my phone, but as soon as I start knowing that it's running my life, I definitely will put that away for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to our second one here. Our second trend for 2020 is high intensity interval training. So HIIT is still going to be back in trend. I think a lot of like Tabata and our HIIT class have always been very successful. I think a lot of people enjoy those shorter bursts of energy, and then you get like that recovery. And I think people really do enjoy like the station-based classes. I know the feedback that I get off of Justin's HIIT class is always really good, that he has new ideas every class. It's never the same class. And so yeah, I think those are, and I personally like the high intensity, like interval training classes. I like to work really hard and then you get the little rest, and like I like that burst again. So how do you guys feel about that high intensity interval training? I think it's still been fairly popular since last year.
Yeah, I think it's staying popular, and it's going to continue to be popular
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of people like those kind of quick, high intensity workouts because you feel like you accomplish a lot in that like short amount of time because you're just dripping sweat and you hurt all over.
Yeah.
I haven't taken too many many of those classes. Like I do some stuff at home where I do like those intervals and then rest, but I haven't taken Justin's class yet because I always worked.
We'll have to get back to that, right? Have to have another
Late.
you guys.
Oh yeah.
But I
I think too, like with, oh, go ahead.
I think people like them a lot because it's not like you're on a treadmill for an hour and you're just like monotonously doing the same thing. It's like, okay, if I can burn the same amount of calories in like a 45-minute class where I'm going super hard, doing a break, going super hard versus like just continuing like running or elliptical, bike, whatever that may be, like more of those like steady state cardio things where, the calorie burn is probably pretty similar, but you feel like you maybe got more work done, you did more strength, and it's just kind of like more efficient than like running in a straight line for an hour.
For sure.
Motivating too, I think, at least for me.
Yeah. I think too, like, we started bringing that format into like even our silver sneaker classes, using that Tabata based timing system for their classes. And I think the feedback we got was great because they were able to feel like they could work harder. They got a little bit more out of their workout. Plus we were able to do more challenging exercises for shorter periods of time. So yeah, I still think that trend is going to stay moving. The only thing that I don't like about it, that I'll probably call out some of my participants here, but when you're so used to the time and it's 20 seconds or 30 seconds or 45, like as soon as they start counting you down, I do notice a lot of our participants stop early. So they really don't push themselves all the way through for the 20 seconds. So I feel like the more you've done Tabata, you kind of get a little bit comfortable with like, oh, I know it's only 20 seconds and I know she's going to make me do 8 rounds of it and it's going to be horrible. So, they're going to kind of reserve a little bit, but the whole idea behind that high intensity is to really push yourself to the max in each 20 seconds to where you can't complete one more rep, get the 10-second rest, and then complete your max and how you feel at that stage for round 2. And so I feel like I'm guilty of that too when I teach, because I know like, oh, all right, I just got to make it through 20 seconds, like I know I'm going to make myself do 7 more rounds of burpees and this is going to be horrible. So I kind of
what's coming, which makes it worse.
Yeah. So I'm guilty of that myself, but I think like if we can kind of encourage our participants and stuff to really push through really hard for those 20 seconds and keep our activities fresh and new as they change, and don't let them know what's coming next, so we can really challenge them, I think would be good. So moving on to our number 3, group training is still going to be trendy. So classes, which is good to hear because everything's going virtually, because look at us, we're here in this setting already. Not by our choice by any means, but I think that that virtual trend is becoming very popular, especially with all of our smart devices and seeing these ads where they have these big screens in your house where you can like see it's you, your mirror, but yet you can see your trainer inside there. It's kind of weird. But you know, it's good to see that group training is still going to be, you know, like this is our top number 3 already on this list. So that's good. How do you guys feel about that? Do you ever worry about like the virtual stuff kind of taking over and us losing that connection with our participants?
A little bit, but I still feel like there's so many people out there that need that like classroom feel. They need to be around other people, because for me, it's motivating to be around other people that want to work out instead of me being at home like, okay, I can just sit and not do it and like pet my dog. But like, I think like the atmosphere is what's going to keep people in the classroom, because it's not the same working out at home, looking at a screen. And I don't know, I prefer getting to a class, because then you have your accountability too, because you actually got to get up, get dressed, go to the gym, like pack your bag. When here, you could just be like, roll out in my pajamas, maybe do it in my pajamas. And like,
Yeah,
I've been guilty of that. And I've rolled out of bed and like, let's try this workout. But I still think group fitness is going to be around, especially for like the older participants, because that's like their social time and when they
For
can
sure.
actually get out and meet other people and that kind of stuff. So I don't think it's going anywhere.
I think too, like you said, it's important, like for us, we can all really relate to the fact that working out at home is really difficult with your space. You know, like I didn't really think twice about like, oh, my carpet meeting my hardwood, but then like I'm in bare feet, like it's not necessarily fun to be working out at home. You know, we did the stair workout the other day and you know, running up and down stairs, you just don't think of stuff like that, but it is difficult to stay motivated in your home, but also have the space, the equipment, so that your house doesn't shake like an earthquake when you're doing power jacks or whatever, you know. So I do I think we've gotten an eye opener, at least I have for sure, of how difficult that is to work out at home. So what do you think actually about the group training?
I think you would have like 2 kinds of people, I guess. Like you are going to have those people who are going to maybe migrate towards that like virtual fitness or like working out at home. But I think you're also still always going to have the people that want that connection, that want that extra motivation, that I don't know, kind of need that environment to be able to get going. And I think for most people, it probably is more motivating. For some people, maybe it's not realistic for them to get to the gym for whatever reason. Maybe it's their schedule, it's their family, you know, whatever that is. So I think it's cool that we have the opportunity and option to do that. I mean, obviously, like with us now being at home, like if we only ever would go somewhere, like you kind of got to figure it out when you're not able to do that. But I feel like too, like after this whole thing of having to be at home, like everyone's gonna want to be, you know, out. Everyone's gonna want that motivation, because it is a lot harder to sit there and like, yeah, maybe we're telling you on the screen like, don't stop, like keep going. Like you don't have that accountability to like be in a class where like the instructor and the other participants, like not that you want to like necessarily always be motivated by other people, but if you see they're struggling and they're still trying, or like, you know, the instructor's still going, or like you don't want the instructor or your friends to see that you're stopping at 10 seconds instead of 20 seconds, you know, that's gonna, I think, push you. I mean, that's why people get personal trainers too. Like you need that extra push that sometimes we just don't have ourselves to do.
I think that, you know, the virtual thing is probably trendy because it's just like a new device, right? Everybody likes the new hottest thing, like the Peloton came out and you're able to have your bike at home with the screen. Then they've got like the treadmill with the screen that talks to you. And like I said, that mirror that you can stand in front of with like the resistance bands and the weights that are all attached. Like, forgive me that I don't know the names of these things because they usually come on the TV and I ignore them because I don't want my job to disappear, because I think for us too, like in our situation, we really like engaging with our members, and I love the classroom setting. I always have. I feel like we're like one big group of friends that are just trying to work out and get through the struggle of how much the class sucks. And, you know, even though like we may have decided what we were going to do that day, but I think that classroom setting and accountability, motivation, team building, friendship, socialization, all of that stuff that comes from the group setting is so amazing. And maybe you guys at home, maybe post in the comments just for curiosity for us. Do you like us better in person, or do you like us better on a screen? You know, we're trying our best to be our normal, you know, and our normal selves on here, and teaching classes from home and trying to be funny. I would still be like that in class. Like, I'm not a person that takes everything quite so seriously. So kind of what you see is what you get with me. But so let us know what you've been liking. I know right now we're just dealing with the virtual videos because we have to, but if you genuinely really like them, that feedback would be great for us too. And considering maybe offering virtual classes in the future once we do reopen, you know, kind of letting us know what you like, what you don't like, things like that as we move forward. But still come to class. It's the best. About to class. So moving on to our next one here is body weight training. So that still is kind of trendy this year, which is kind of like my main thing. I'm not a huge weightlifter, and I generally like gravitate more towards cardio than strength training, other than like the body weight training. So I'm kind of a big fan of that myself. I like to add that a lot into classes, because when you don't have equipment at home, or you need to get creative, it's really easy just to use your own body weight. But how do you guys feel about that?
I like both. I do a little bit of both because I need to work on both, so might as well do both of them. But I like both. There's no one that kind of takes the side for me, because I like lifting weights and I like cardio. So I'm right down the middle with those two.
Yeah, I feel like body weight exercises, even those that aren't cardio, are super good. I think I'm not a huge fan of like machines for like lifting and everything like that. And you can still like lift free weights and things like that. But I think just like your body is meant to be used in different ways. And I think obviously our society has gone away from that in terms of most people's regular lives and jobs, because we're not like an agricultural society anymore. We're not like a manual labor society for the most part. Like, we sit on our computers and talk to people and answer the phones and, you know, do that kind of stuff now. So I think it is very important part of, you know, the physical training part is to like actually use our bodies in different ways. Like, push-ups are like my least favorite exercise ever, but like then you think about like, you know, doing like a chest exercise with like weights, and like that's easy or whatever. So I think it is interesting too to kind of see some of those things that like our body can do, but like they're almost even harder than other like weighted exercises and stuff. So I mean, at home too, like that's kind of a nice benefit to not everyone always has a ton of equipment and things like that. So to be able to still challenge our bodies in that way and maybe learn some new things.
Push-ups are one of my least favorite as well. But I think push-ups, if we take that as an example, is like a really rewarding exercise once you elevate from like a top position, or even like the wall to the tabletop position, to on your knees, to being on your toes with a wide stance, to a narrow stance, or like range of motion. I think body weight exercises, you see your gain more, in my opinion, because I don't reach for 10-pound weights to do a chest press, and then the next day I'm doing like 15s, you know. But the next day, if I was doing push-ups and I did 10, I could maybe do 11, and you're like, dang, I did one more. Like, just one more rep with a full push-up is, so I think with body weight, as you make those gains, it's way more rewarding in my opinion, because I don't push, so I don't like to be out of my comfort zone too much. So yeah. Number 5 here was fitness programs for older adults, which I think is awesome. I know the demographic at our local here YMCA is we have a very big demographic of active older adults, which is amazing. I think that those are my favorite classes to teach. I love Silver Sneakers. I love I mean, anybody that's there killing it every day, busting their butt, I think is super impressive. And to take my, like that 8:45 a.m. Tuesday, Thursday Silver Sneaker class, I want to give just a shout out to you guys. You're the ones that I teach to on Tuesday a lot, but just in the last year here, you know, we went from, you know, chairs to no chairs to adding benches to being super creative and getting you guys out of your comfort zone, and you rise to every challenge that we put forward for you. Every class does, but I really think that a lot of our Silver Sneaker crew is so inspiring to myself and keeps me coming back every day. So I'm really happy to see that we're able to accommodate that demographic that is rapidly growing, and to see that our, you know, that demographic is more active at their age. Like I think of when my grandma was, you know, newly retired and stuff too, and even my mom, like their activity level just isn't like what some of our Silver Sneakers are. So I'm very happy to see their progress and how active they've been able to stay, and the exercises that they can do. Even think of our 7 a.m. classes. I mean, those ladies are rocking out burpees and mountain climbers, and just I think that that's great. So any other comments you guys want to put on that one? So fitness programs for older adults.
Yeah, I think it's just cool to see like a generation that didn't grow up with really like fitness and like gym setting stuff as something that was very popular, or very like, I don't know, like that wasn't really around as much kind of thing. And so I think to see them like go into that environment that's maybe like new to them is really cool to see. Just I think the community aspect of it, and just the fact that like they're able to try something that, you know, they didn't necessarily always do throughout the rest of their lives. And I think kind of like what you said with the morning classes, but even like our Silver Sneaker classes in the afternoon, I mean, now they ask us if they need a chair, versus it was like we always had to have a chair.
Yes.
It's like most of them now are able to say like, oh, I don't really need one. I mean, I can go to the wall if I do need it for a little bit of balance, but like it's not like they need this safety net anymore, which I think is cool to see them be more kind of independent in that way, and not, you know, needing that little safety net.
And helping them get their like confidence to be able to get rid of the chair, you know. I mean, teaching Silver Sneakers probably like 6 years ago when Kathy asked me to take on a couple classes, and I remember like what circuit was like. I mean, we were seated probably 60% of the time, and I taught my first class, and I remember Joyce in the back, she was like, can we do more? And I'm like, okay, well, more like a longer class, or like what kind of, like, I was so, you know, I did my training, we had our guidelines, and I will say, like, this is bad, I don't really follow like a lot of Silver Sneaker guidelines because our demographic can do so much more, but it's changed dramatically. And even in the last 2 years, by me being in this new position and with bringing you guys on, turning them into interval classes and taking away the chairs and adding benches, it's really cool to see their progress and know that no matter what age you are, you can get gains and confidence by working out, and no matter where you start, no matter how old you are at all. So I think that's really inspiring to all of us. And to like Joe, like being in the pool, it's probably cool to see. I mean, since you took over Splash, like the class sizes too, in the afternoons have gotten crazy. They've like doubled and tripled in size, which is a huge kudos to you. And even the morning classes that we have with Patricia and Genevieve, they're even, I mean, Patricia was getting like sometimes like 28 people, which is crazy. So you guys, that aquatics team as well is doing an amazing job with getting that active older generation like moving as well. So kudos to you guys for. Moving on here. What was that?
So you're gonna need a bigger pool.
Don't tell Chris that. No.
Fine.
You don't need a pool. You only need a bathtub. Be watching for that video. There's yoga. I think yoga's been always kind of trendy. Especially, I mean, I guess really started coming on like the scene for me. Like we talked about this earlier. You had said like back kind of when you were in high school, which is like when I was, 10 years ago. Not even like you, well, you're not that old yet. So she's
That was
significantly
beginning of
both
high school.
of them are. Beginning of high school. So let's be honest, she was like 14. So 10 years ago for me, I first
Hey, I'm 25 now. 15.
So I liked yoga. The idea of yoga is what I should say. I never really liked it when I first did it. It's really grown on me now. I know we talked about this like in our coping episode that we talked about with meditation and yoga and mental health and stuff. But it's cool to see that yoga is still a trend. I think what's trending about yoga right now is the bar yoga, beer yoga, the goat yoga. There's one later on here that I'll read, but they've really like branched off to and added so much more, like more yoga flows. It's like HIIT. If you guys have tried our Transform class at RY, that class is very like an athletic version of yoga Pilates, which Trisha teaches, and that's amazing. So if you're looking for more of an athletic route, I encourage you to try that class once we get back up and running. But I think they've really made like yoga is like a single umbrella, and there's so much underneath it that whether meditation, more yoga, more like restorative yoga, I mean there's so much. And I feel like I know a little bit about yoga, but I feel very illiterate also with it because there's so much to learn about it in so many different aspects. But how do you feel with yoga being on this trends list for 2020?
I like it. I think yoga is just going to continue to get bigger and bigger because what do they call it? The fountain of youth. I've heard many people call yoga the fountain of youth.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a different type of, like exercise, which more, challenges like your mind and your body. And I've enjoyed it. I haven't been doing yoga very long, but I can see improvements in like my balance and a little bit with my flexibility. So I'm going to continue with it, see where it goes.
That's good. It'll be cool to see like your journey since you're just kind of starting in this and now we're all out there in this virtual setting. Right. But then to see you too on your journey with that yoga, I think will be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think there's, like you said, so many different kinds and types and methods of teaching yoga that it's only going to kind of get bigger from here on out because there's going to be so many different kind of options available for people of, many different levels. I mean, we have a silver sneaker yoga class, and then like you talked about, like Transform, like there's a huge range of kind of ability levels that you're able to do different classes for. And I think too, like what Jill was saying, with it being more of that mind body type of class, it's what a lot of people who are stressed out by our busy lives kind of gravitate towards, because it gives them, that movement aspect, but it also gives them that kind of like peaceful and calming and relaxing aspect too. So it's more than just, a workout. It's kind of a experience, if that makes sense, which I think a lot of people are looking for with just like the chaos and busyness of our typical, maybe not our lives right now, but I mean, like now it's still a stressful time, even though it's different. It's not as busy per se, but just, kind of to deal with those life stresses. Maybe it's, for some people it's yoga, for some people it's throwing, dead balls, but
a little bit of both.
Right? Yeah. We just need to put a yoga class and a dead ball class together and we'd have it made. I think what draws yoga and meditation in right now is probably the growing awareness too of how important it is to be like mentally healthy and using that mental exercise just as much as your body. Because work out our physical body so that we can be in shape and we can withstand and we have a good immune system and we have the energy and endurance. And I think meditation and yoga is a way for us to exercise our brain and keep that mental health aspect just as healthy. So, I did some research. I love word searches for little tidbit personal about me that I am a huge fan of word searches. I do not like crossword puzzles, but I like word searches. And puzzles that like Bejeweled, you have to match things. I just like pairing things and finding words. So that has helped to exercise my brain over this time. And they do say like the more you challenge your brain with different puzzles and things like that too, kind of wards off some of those mental illnesses that we could have, like Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that down the road. Mm-hmm. So I think meditation and that yoga really kind of play into that, because obviously we want to prevent those things as we get older too. So
right.
All right. So our next one here is personal training. Actually, is kind of stepping up and becoming more of a trend in 2020. I think personal training has always kind of been obviously always like available in there. I mean, when I was first working out, I didn't think to go hire a personal trainer, because always it kind of comes down to financial, because it is a little bit more expensive. In the past few years that I've been involved in our personal training program at RY, it's grown dramatically, and definitely more interest and a lot of more trainers that we're able to hire as well. So I think that's helping us grow too. So I'm glad to see that that's going to be a current trend, because that was, one of my goals for this year was to really step up that personal training program and help as many members as we can kind of specialize what they wanted out of their workouts, or at least just give them information, even if they didn't want to buy a session. Maybe it was just having a consultation with us and kind of realizing what they can do to help get their gains a little bit, faster maybe. Mm-hmm. And being that you guys are both personal trainers, Jill kind of new to the personal training scene, but have been on the other side of actually hiring a trainer. I think that's really cool. How do you feel about this being kind of a trend for 2020?
I like it. I like that it's becoming more of a thing, because for me, I know my rhyme and reason why I got it. Like, I was just unsuccessful by myself. Like, my mind was like, I don't know what to do. Like, there's so many things I can do. I'm like, what should I be doing? Mm-hmm. So that's where a personal trainer came in handy, because, you tell them what your goals are and they kind of narrow down that workout for you, what you should be doing, and like that kind of stuff. So I've liked that it's becoming a bigger trend, because for me, I wasn't keen on going to the gym myself, because I was like, gym scared me. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, or even if I'm doing it properly, because I don't want to hurt myself, because then I'll be like right back to square one. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I was very intimidated by it, but now like having that personal trainer, knowing what I do, like how your body works and how it should be functioning and like proper form and all that kind of stuff, just having that base knowledge like opened so many doors, and now I'm on the other side. But it really did help me.
I think that's really inspiring from you though too, and makes all of us sometimes, I mean, absolutely no offense to personal trainers that like, Ashley, I'll kind of pick on you here, okay? They'll go to school, like this was your career and your plan out of high school, right? You went to college, you got your degree, and you just kind of fell through with that, which we have other trainers like that too at the Y. But I do feel like with us three especially, like we have Ashley's got like the great like book knowledge, and I reach to you for a lot, Ashley, and you make me feel dumb on a daily basis. So but I do say like experience too is just equally as important as book knowledge, and I think depending on what clients that we get, sometimes you will resonate better with them because they're like, oh man, she's been on the other side, like maybe she's not quite, so you might not be as intimidating. Ashley, you're not intimidating either, my dear, but I should rephrase that. She's probably just as mean as I am if you ask Chris. So Chris, if you're watching this, you better be careful when we get back. Your personal training is going to be pretty rough with both of these girls actually. So but I think that really makes us very what's the word that I want to use, we can reach out to so many different people because we can accommodate. A lot of our trainers are either the knowledge coming from school, or maybe it's just like you have the the experience, or you're on the other side, or I think that that really is helpful. So I think for you, having hired a personal trainer and to know what it's like to meet that trainer for the first time gives you kind of a little, I think, upper hand, because I don't even know what that's like. I never hired a trainer. So when I meet someone for the first time, I don't know really what they're going through or how nervous they might be or questions they're worried about, you know, me asking, or if you're even worried about the assessment, right? I guess I don't even think twice about that because I haven't been in other shoes. So I think that's very cool about you.
I almost did 2 assessments because I'm like, I don't know.
We didn't know either.
Right? They're like, oh, you already did this? Yeah. Like, you don't need to do it. I'm like, oh.
That's what happens when you have so many hands in the cookie jar. But that's okay. Things just, you need to do things twice, and you know,
Right?
maybe
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know the protocol. Maybe I do need to do it twice.
let's be honest, that's probably why you actually wanted to start working for us, because you're like, these girls don't know what's going on. It's going to be really fun to work in this department.
Right? Because I don't know what's going on half the time. So
No.
it's perfect.
So Ashley, how do you feel about personal training kind of continuing to be a trend? How do you feel like it's progressed since you went into school, like how they marketed it? Anything from there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good trend. I think there is kind of an intimidation part that maybe comes along with it, and people being a little bit scared to kind of get in that one-on-one situation. But I also know, like, from experience working with a lot of my clients, is like they really need that one-on-one attention. Like, the group setting is more intimidating for them than being one-on-one with someone. And also, I think just giving them the knowledge to be able to do things on their own. Like, I don't ever want to feel like me as a personal trainer is just telling you what to do, and so you keep coming back for more because you don't understand how to do it. Like, my goal with my clients is that they understand what they're doing and that they feel confident enough to be able to do some of those things on their own, you know, once they get to a certain point. I never want them to feel like they need me. Like, I want to empower them to be able to do it, like, on their own. And I think that's kind of how I wouldn't say, I don't know if technically I had a personal trainer in high school, but I came back from a couple ankle surgeries, getting back into figure skating, and we had a like off-ice coach who did classes, but I was homeschooled, so she would come during the day just for me, because I had to do a lot of rehab at first, and then kind of got into more of my training for my sport. But I think she was really, like, I was interested, but she also kind of gave me the knowledge to kind of get even more interested in it for myself, which is kind of how I decided to even go into school for kinesiology and exercise science, was that experience with my trainer, coach, whatever you want to call her. So I think that aspect of it is something I always want to kind of reach for when I'm training people. But I think that it's cool to see that it's not going anywhere, I guess, because sometimes, like you said, it is, you know, more of a financial commitment too. And I think even like a time commitment, because it's like, okay, group classes are on the schedule, they're always going to be there, but like if I schedule with my trainer, like it's even more of that commitment, because they're going to be there waiting for you, and it's just you. It's not like 10 other people are coming to class, and if you don't show up, like, yeah, they might reach out to you, but you know, they're not counting on you to be there. So I think there's that aspect of it too, that different people need different things and at different times in their lives too. So
Right.
Well, if any of you guys at home have thought about personal training or had any questions about it, you know, don't forget we do have a great personal training program at RY. And we have like 13 trainers, if you didn't already know that. We had just put up our trainer wall just recently as of this new year, that had all of our trainers up there visible for you guys to read up on and just kind of know their experience, how they got into personal training or just fitness in general. So kind of look for that. And if you've been following us on Facebook, we still have our our trainer of the week that will be on hold now for just a little bit since we're not in the office, but you can for sure go back and read through those. I think everybody is still on there. So yeah, search us out. Feel free to email myself or any of us here about questions for personal training. And if you want to kind of get back into that routine, reopen, we'd be happy to help you. Moving on here to number 8 is functional fitness training, which I kind of think falls kind of similar with body weight training as well. So that is still continuing to be a trend, that functional fitness. And I think too, like our full body mobility with Matt at our Y2 kind of fits very great into that that category. So again, if you guys haven't tried that class, I would encourage you to do so. And so with functional training, like what kind of experience do you guys have more with it? Obviously, we add it into our classes every day, you know, squatting, lifting, pulling, pushing, things like that. But too, I think of like kind of like our silver sneaker stability class, things like, and with silver sneakers in general, not to pick on them a little bit more, but that functional training is so important. Like when we were doing certain exercises, saying like, if you're going to pick up your grandkid, this is like, we're strengthening you for this, like putting a purpose behind the exercises, I think is huge. So any thoughts you have on this one?
No. I don't.
Just like functional fitness.
Like, I know there's probably more that I could do, so I'm more functional, because my balance still, you know, I still need to work on my balance and like things like that. So just those little kind of things to help out, but other than that, no. Goes back to the body weight. I'm like,
It's definitely been more trendy though the last like few years. Like I don't remember being in high school or really the beginning of college and never really hearing that term like together,
Yeah.
functional fitness or functional training. And actually the Y that I worked at in Illinois before we moved up here last summer, my boss there, he was very into like functional fitness. So we had a few like small group classes that really revolved around that. And I don't know, it brings me to like a lot of the things that I learned with my trainer in high school, and like a lot of body weight, and also even like we mostly use kettlebells, and that's kind of how I got into that. And so my ladies, well, and Brent that have taken kettlebells know some of the movements we do in there. They don't seem super conventional, but I think kind of like we're talking along the lines of full body mobility and like those stability classes is like, it's really challenging in those like mobility areas that we don't even really think about. And yes, squats, pushing, pulling, all that stuff is good, but I think the functional aspect of it is like thinking a little bit more about range of motion and mobility and kind of those different aspects of fitness that we don't, like we're not really associating that with like strength or cardio. It's kind of a little, I mean, they can all be incorporated in all together, I think, but it's kind of its own little niche, I feel like, too, that I think it's good because I think it's not something a lot of people have thought about before. It's like, oh, well, how much can I lift or how far can I go?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, how is my body really functioning for like daily life and,
Yes.
you know, things that,
I was gonna say like longevity, you know, like for the long haul, how can it function?
Mm-hmm. You're not always going to be able to deadlift 250 pounds. Like, I'm sorry. Some point your body's not going to do that anymore.
True. Very true. Yeah. So I think maybe that's something too that I know we do offer, you know, like full body mobility and things like that, but maybe that's kind of something that we could focus on too as a wellness group too, is like more functional fitness. Maybe it's just workshops or something like that. And it's, you know, 1 or 2 day classes or something progressive, so that people can kind of spread that knowledge and realize like how much that is important too, and how that functional fitness will help you with your gains now when you about your deadlift or, you know, your squat. So they really do go hand in hand, and that kind of brings us back to yoga with that flexibility, that range of motion, and how well that is, you know, if you stack your fitness, your cardio, your flexibility, your strength training, all of that, it's like one package deal of being healthy and fit. It's not just, I just lift weights, I just do cardio, I just am a yoga person, right? Or a yogi. I shouldn't say yoga person, like a yogi, right? Whatever you're kind of into, I do, it's like one whole package deal that you need to focus on. This kind of goes back to what we had talked about briefly with yoga and like our mental health and coping episode that we did, but exercise as medicine. I think that's really cool to have that as a trend, because I think if we can get off extra medication, if we can, whether it's like an anti-anxiety or a sleep aid or anything like that, that exercise could help you with, I think is huge. I personally am not on any medication besides gummy vitamins. I love my gummy vitamins. You know, so.
Taking his right now.
Oh, hey, look at that. See, take your vitamins. So I think that that's really good too. And I guess, how do you guys kind of see that moving forward through 2020 with exercise as medicine, whether it be, you know, for mental health and medicine, or maybe even just like pain management? How do you feel about that?
I hope it kind of takes off, because I know for me, like back in high school, like when I was first diagnosed or whatever with like depression and anxiety, like they did have me on medication, and I'm like, okay, cool, this will, you know, help me get better. And I was so like woohoo about it. And then I was on it, and I took them because, you know, the doctor told me I had to. So I took them, and I didn't feel right. I felt like I was just in a fog all the time. Like, yeah, it did improve my mood. Like, I didn't have my, you know, week-long kind of like downs. They were just at, you know, same level all the time, but I just felt in a fog, and my mind was just all like scrambled, cloudy. And then I got off of them and started working out more, just started walking outside. And then it picked up to like doing a little working out inside and all that kind of stuff. And it really helped. Just, it made me sleep better. Like I kind of had more clarity. And then now, more that I've started working at the Y and like got my personal trainer and started working and like doing classes and stuff, like it's been just a complete like 180 from when I started. Like, yeah, I'm more tired at the end of the day and just like my body's exhausted, but like my mind is still, you know, I can still think clearly and all that. And at the end of the day, I'm not just like drained and like mentally, but yeah, it really has helped me out, and I really hope it helps other people out, because yeah, medications, nothing against them, like they do have their purpose for some things, but for like that depression and anxiety, like I think there's a way to get rid of that if people were to focus more on themselves and their mental health and that kind of stuff. So I hope it takes off in the future, because it has helped me a lot, which is crazy to think that just doing what you kind of should be doing, getting out, being active and that kind of stuff makes a world of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome that it's becoming more of a trend. And I think if we can steer clear, I mean, not that I want to talk about depressing statistics, but like all of the things about drugs and overdoses and people getting hooked on these like painkillers or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
you know, is causing a lot of turmoil and stress in our society. And I think, I mean, exercise is something that we're given like to help cope with a lot of different areas in our lives. And whether that be, you know, like you said, Jill, helping with, you know, depression and anxiety, or I mean, even chronic medical conditions that, you know, whether it's like diabetes or like high blood pressure, like there are things we can do diet and exercise wise to really, maybe you don't get completely off of those medications, but you're able to at least lower them. Because I know too, like not from my own personal experience, but just experience of others in my life, that they unfortunately do have a lot of side effects. And, you know, whether it's weight gain or cloudiness of mind or nausea, different pains that, you know, you never had before. I think as much as we can to have that like natural medicine of like just our kind of things that we're able to do outside of that is important. And if we can kind of keep moving in that direction to like helping to clear out some of that like medication necessity and really be able to kind of sustain ourselves, I think, if that's possible.
I think what's tough is that like the list of side effects off of some of the medication is so much longer than like what you're actually trying to fix. And sometimes a concern to me too. It's like, oh, I'm trying to fix just this, but then all these list of 20, maybe, let's say, side effects might happen to you. And then you might be on a medication for one of those side effects that you wouldn't normally have because of your, I mean, I just think of my grandparents, you know, like my grandma would pull out a whole drawer of her medication, like literally a drawer. And it, you know, was this concoction of like, I have to do this and this because of this, but then now this because of this. And it just kind of gets to be like a effect, I think, of having to rely on things like that. So if we can spread that positivity and try to keep people as active as possible, I think that, you know, I think everything would be better around for physical like medicine and mental medicine. And kind of going back to that Legally Blonde quote that Ashley knows so well. Do you want to repeat that again?
My what?
That from that Legally Blonde movie. What did she say about like happy people?
Endorphins make you happy, and happy people don't shoot their husbands.
They just don't.
So when you're locked in your house right now and you're just getting, you know, stir crazy, sitting next to the person that you're with all the time, go out, go for a walk, because you'll get some endorphins, you'll be happy, and then you won't just put that person, you know, into some torment. So get off, go do something.
Go do something.
Our last thing on our list for 2020, I do have another quick list of what they project to be more trending kind of in like the future of later 2020 and into 2021 that we'll go over really quickly. But the last one here for this trend for 2020 and is mini trampoline. And I'm going to have to give our Superior YMCA a big pat on the back because we hit that before it even actually was trendy. So I wanted to do a mini trampoline class this last year, and thank you, a huge thank you to our CEO Chris for allowing me to invest in all of these mini trampolines, not knowing what I was going to do with them. I think a lot of times he looks at me like, you want what? And with it, and how is this going to work? And he has faith in me every time to pull through. So I think that that is super fun. We've had great feedback on the classes. I think that it's just a fun, different way to work out. I know Ashley had just recently kind of started when we first got the trampolines, and I made all this pre-choreographed stuff, and we got on the trampoline, and she looked at me like, holy crap, this is hard. Like the music is fast. And it was a huge learning curve. And even for me to go in and use the trampoline for the first time, like I couldn't even last 3 minutes on the trampoline. To do one song straight through was a huge eye opener. So, and knowing how much we work out, you know, how much that, that is a huge change to your routine. And I'm glad that the demographic that's attended classes has been from like our active older adults to like youth. We had young kids coming into it too on our demo night, which was really cool to see. So thank you to our Superior Y. Thank you to you guys for liking that class as it was coming through. So it was really fun to see that that mini trampoline hit our list. So sweet deal. Anything you guys have to say about trampoline? I know you've both been on the trampolines with me. Ashley, you were teaching it with me for a while, and Jill, you hopped on as a trial how it was going when I was learning. But how do you feel about it compared to like other cardio things that we've done?
It's different, and I think that's probably what draws people in, because who's gonna work out on a trampoline or think to work out on a trampoline? But it's a workout. It's a workout.
Yeah, it is for sure.
I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I think is definitely a challenge for me and for a lot of people starting out with it, but with anything, as long as you stick with it and do it a few times, it gets a little bit easier. You're able to do a little bit more, go a little faster. Yeah, the only drawback is if you gotta pee, it's rough.
Yeah.
If you have to teach 3 classes beforehand.
I've heard after it's not good.
Okay, we'll just get you a little,
Depends.
everyone's do we have like,
We
little,
have the discreet depends. So you
yeah,
can't even
look
tell that
at
you're wearing them.
how I say you sweat so much in that class, you wouldn't know if it was sweat or pee. Don't worry about it. So if you haven't tried our mini trampoline class, if peeing your pants wasn't motivating enough,
Wear dark.
wear dark
Yeah.
pants. I encourage you to try it. It is super fun. Once we get that running, we did have Sunday classes available. I don't really know what that looks like now coming back in because usually we take Sundays off for the summer, but we had a 45-minute Sunday class that kind of mixed in some, I know Trisha and I kind of teamed it, and we were doing resistant bands and weights and stuff, as well as the trampoline cardio work. We had some early morning classes and a late night class that were just 30 minutes, short and sweet. It's glow in the dark if you are worried about being like, jumping around in front of everybody, which makes it even more fun. So if you haven't tried mini trampoline, I really encourage you to do it in the near future here once we open back up. It's a really fun workout. I just do not suggest you, like Ashley, to do it after 3 classes she already taught. And I shouldn't say I don't. I highly suggest you do drumming after it on Wednesday morning. To do those 2 classes with me back to back is super fun. High calorie burn. And once drumming starts, you totally forget about trampoline for sure, because drumming's worse. So those are our top 10 fitness trends for 2020. And some of these that are moving forward kind of contradict what's going on right now or what they're projecting it to be. So futuristic fitness is what this was for 2020, kind of what they project to be coming towards the end of the year and into next year. We kind of talked about yoga a little bit with like beer yoga and goat yoga and all those things that have got to be trendy. Now they're going to be coming out with gin yoga. So like gin, alcohol. If you're a gin fan, you can now start doing gin and yoga all in one.
I feel like it's going to really test your balance.
It actually says that it's very good for you because it loosens your muscles and allows you to be more flexible. 3 sheets to the wind. So we know that. I mean, let's be honest, we're like a rag doll if we're a little bit intoxicated. So I can see where I could bend my feet over my head if I was maybe,
Not sure how safe that's going to be if you're not aware of what you're doing. But
it'll just give me false confidence. Like, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to teach a bar yoga at Schulte's for a while, and I just got people together. We did yoga first, and then they did like a specialty drink. So it was like bringing just in some business into the bar in the morning. And I'm not a huge drinker myself, so didn't really go like it was hand in hand, but I actually got quite a few people. And Schulte's did some really cool drinks. They had like a caramel apple mimosa. They did like more, it wasn't, crazy things that we were drinking at 11 in the morning on Sunday. Yeah. So, but I think the trend is growing. And I think too, like now these classes you're drinking while you're doing yoga, where what I did was you did yoga and then you did a little social time afterwards. And then I could think of other things that I think would be more fun, like doing yoga and coffee, because I'm a huge coffee and I used to work at a coffee shop. So I'm totally into that. But for those of you that are into gin, especially, you'll be able to start doing some gin and yoga classes maybe soon. Probably not, but maybe soon, somewhere else around our community. Another new one here. You guys can hop in if you have any questions or comments about these. Yoga HIIT is coming in, and I've heard this put together before here, but I think by the end of the year it's going to be more trendy. So like this yoga hybrid. I don't know how that's going to work. They had described it as, you'll do your yoga and then you'll do like a really high intensity like exercise like our HIIT, and then go back to the yoga and then do that. So almost kind of like a station-based class, which I think would be kind of fun, actually. Thinking was hard.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my sister, she lives down in the cities, and I think I don't remember if it was Lululemon or Athleta, but like one of those two, kind of like those fitnessy clothing brands. They started hosting like in-store classes, I guess, at the one at the Mall of America. That was like their new thing. And she did a class like that, and she was like, not really sure how I feel about it, because it's like you kind of get in like one mood, but then you got to go back to the other one, and then you got to go back, and it was just kind of like, I mean, she only tried it once, so she was kind of like, I don't really know, because it's very
You're like high
different.
and then low.
Yeah, and so I was like, I'm not really sure how to feel about it. But I mean, I probably takes some getting used to as well, since it's
Right.
two very opposite, in my opinion, things to go together. But
I think this is where our yoga and dead ball come into play.
yeah,
So
There you
that
go.
we could have a new, you're gonna do Warrior One and slam that ball. We can do it, I mean, I don't know.
Right.
3 with a 20-pound dead ball. That might be coming as your challenge. Today. I was like, no, not a good idea.
ow.
So be maybe looking for that. You might have a yoga hit class coming your way here by the end of 2020. The 8-limb yoga method, and I didn't really do a ton of research on this. There was a lot of words that I couldn't really pronounce that I wasn't doing on here. So if you're interested in what that looks like and you're really big into yoga, maybe look at that 8-limb yoga method and see what that's all about. But that's supposed to be coming at the end.
So what
I
if
was
it's
counting
4
4.
limbs?
I'm like, we
It's
only
really
have
scary.
4.
I'm trying to count.
I think it's about breath, the poses, meditation, like it has like its tiers like that. So
We have 4.
Yeah, I'm like, we only have 4 limbs. I'm like, maybe if you counted your head, and then if they're talking about like something about like your brain and like your heart or something,
that's probably,
kind of connection.
Well, maybe that will be one of our new adventures as well. You never know. This one gets me laughing. I love this one. Kick biking. Yeah. Adult scootering is going to be fitness trends by the end of the year. I am so going to buy a little kick scooter. That's how I'm going to work here by the end of the year. So if you already have a kick bike and you're an adult, post in the comments how much you enjoy that little bad boy. And if you have one and you've tried theirs, let me know. Let me know a brand, because if I'm going to buy one, I want to get a good one. Hopefully I can put a motor on it, because I don't know if I want to actually kick my way home.
Hey, I used to have one of those Razor scooters. Those were awesome.
Okay, so that's what this is pretty much like, So
Those things were so fun until you hit a rock. Yeah. Whew. You go down fast.
I thought that was really funny. So kick biking, that's what they call it. I think that's like
Not
the
scootering.
kick biking, because nobody wants to say they're an adult scooter.
That just makes it sound like you're on one of those like electric scooters at the store getting your groceries.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Functional training was back on here. I think that's just going to be coming really more by the end of the year. So squatting, lifting, pulling, reaching, etc. All those functional things we had talked about before. This is the one that I was super excited to say. Are you guys ready? Naked workouts.
Oh. I don't know how I feel about that right now.
Yeah, quick, just what's your opinion? Because my brain was right exactly where yours is right now, last night at like 11 o'clock. I was like, are you kidding me? I had to do this numerous times.
No. It's like I buy my workout pants to keep everything from not jiggling. So like having that all free, I don't like that.
That sounds really uncomfortable, first of all. And second of all, there are clothes made for a reason to make things stay where they're supposed to stay, and also not like, just no.
It's okay, ladies. It's not what you think, but I wanted you to say words like that on camera. That's recorded. That's going to be all over social media. It's not what you think. You're not actually working out in the buff, actually.
Okay.
Working out without a device. So what it is disconnecting from your present screen. So working out tech-free. And we actually for 2020 was wearable tech gear, right? Was really trendy. But for the year, you're going naked. You're going to be like me, and you're not going to be wearing a Fitbit or another device, supposedly. So I think that was really funny. That's where my brain was at, was right where your guys' was, a little bit
We
ago.
really need to
I'm just
change
reading the
that.
paragraph.
Like no music and stuff too.
I don't know. They just said disconnect from ever-present screens. So yeah, I would say like it's no music, it's no, that kind of takes that virtual workout right out of there, because that's a screen, right? So or like mindfulness, getting outside, being in your actual present moment and enjoying that workout, even if it's, painful or not fun.
It doesn't sound very motivating.
No.
I think what's motivating is we can be like, by the end of 2020, we're going naked. For all of you guys that know me very well, I'm off the deep end 99.9% of the time. So let us know about your thoughts about working out naked, as is with devices. Keep your clothes on. Just get rid of your devices and all that extra technology that we've been attached to for so long. This next one that I'm super excited about, Glide Fit. Oh, gliders, baby, are coming in hot at the end of 2020. And if they're not, I'm going to make them come in hot. And if you haven't watched our glider video yet, Jill is amazing on there. So make sure you watch our glider video.
I remember it. Oh,
You pulled my legs out. So I think that's kind of cool. I think it'd be fun to have a full glider class. We had just talked about that, a little bit before our closure. So I think that that's cool.
We're already adding the silver sneakers, Kathy.
It's coming your way. And what do we think about gliders? We love gliders. I know all three of us love gliders.
So much love.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So look out, you guys. You might be doing mountain gliders, glider plank jacks, glider tuck jumps, glider everything in 2021. We might have a whole class that's just called gliders. You never know. They're a cheap fitness equipment, I will tell you that. So we make sure everybody in class has their own set of gliders. So aren't you guys lucky? Otherwise we got ready to work. So the last one here on our list was, there's two more. Mindful running. So meditative running. That kind of gets me back into maybe disconnecting. I don't know why I thought that. Getting rid of that technology, no music. And they had a couple different books listed on this website with mindful running. So how to kind of get maybe more into like a meditative state while you're out walking or running, or which I thought was kind of interesting, because I think meditation too is, we've been more into that recently. What do you guys think about that?
It's interesting. It's like, I know when I go on my walks, like I don't take I do take my phone, but it's on silent, put away. So that like my walks are kind of my little mindful walks. That just means I need to start running.
Yeah, I feel like I do it with walks quite a bit. Running, if I'm training for something, it's a little harder, I think, because you're trying to meet a pace or you're trying to meet a distance goal. So it's kind of hard to be disconnected, because I feel like in one aspect that might be really helpful, and another it might make it like you're kind of getting more leisurely, which is not bad, but if again like you're training for something, it might be a little bit more difficult.
The last one on here that was kind of cool too was like all day workouts. Again, just like when I read naked workouts, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm not working out all day. I already do that. But it was encouraging to see it was a smaller segments, and it was throughout the day. So like doing 10-15 minutes of yoga here, 10-15 minute walk here, doing a little like interval session over here, maybe meditating, and kind of bringing that like activity level throughout your entire day in smaller sections, to kind of keep your energy up, your endurance up, and just stay invigorated too. So I think that was a cool addition. And as we move into summer, to try to be, even if it's a 10, or something quick. I mean, I did like 10 minutes of yoga the other morning, and it's amazing how that made a difference. I didn't think it was going to be enough, and it was amazing. So Yeah. What do you guys think about that? All day workouts.
Yeah, I kind of already do that because I'll wake up, get my little walk in with Finn, and then I'll do my workout. And usually I do another afternoon walk. And then like end of the night, I like to end with like, you know, yoga and stretch. So I feel like I do stay pretty active throughout the day, you know, so I don't really won't change anything that I do.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I think being home, I've probably done that a little more. I mean, otherwise it kind of is dictated based on like my teaching schedule, training schedule a lot of the time, but trying to like get up and do something. And then like if we do like a workout on our video and then like going for a walk in the afternoon, and then trying to do some kind of like stretching or yoga too throughout the day. But I think it does help, like, and obviously it's not going to work for everyone depending on their work schedule and things like that, but to help keep yourself kind of like energized and like moving throughout the day, instead of like, oh, I'm sitting all day for like 8 hours and then I do this like huge big chunk of like an hour or two of working out and then I go back to like sitting on my butt. I mean, obviously that's better than nothing, but it is kind of interesting. I'd be interested to see like research or like just kind of like an overall synopsis of like the difference maybe between like those who are pretty sedentary and do like one big workout a day versus those who are just more active if they're able to, like throughout their day.
I think that's cool, like where some of these challenges kind of come into play that we've been doing too. They're short and sweet. Like they might, like our stair challenge took us like 7 to 8 minutes to run through, you know, and like different ones that we've done already are just short and sweet. And so I like those no excuse workouts. Like we can make an excuse all the time that I can't get to the gym and I can't carve out an hour. I can't carve out 2 hours because I want to do all of this stuff or attend these classes. And so like when you're at home and you're like, I really want to run up my stairs right now. I don't whoever says that, but like, you know, like I really want to run up my stairs like 10 times. It would not take you very long, but just that short burst of energy, like gets that heart rate up. And then you can be done and then go do something else. So I think that was kind of a good takeaway for me, especially on the weekends. Just a little bit more mindful of wanting that urge to run up my stairs or take them 2 by 2. Them, right? I mean, or just randomly start doing push-ups off the stairs. I mean, just
randomly,
you know, you don't have to justify, you know, your urges, whatever you want to do at that time. I'm gonna do some burpees in the middle of the street.
I do calf raises when I do dishes.
The grocery cart is the best. What was that, Jill?
I do calf raises when I do the dishes.
See, look at this. All great ideas.
I'm just like, well, calf raises. And I think it'll kind of a good idea having these little chunks, because not a lot of people, like, they dread looking forward to, like, you know, an hour workout, even 45 minutes. They're like, that's so long. So if you can just get those little bursts of exercise that could add up to, you know, hour, 2 hours of like working out would be good. Because I know I was one of them. I'm like, I don't want to do this 45-minute workout.
Yeah.
And like, that made me unmotivated. So if they get motivated from this 10-minute thing or 5-minute thing, like, that's good. They're still moving.
Absolutely. So do you guys have any other thoughts on anything that we discussed today about kind of the trends, or any feedback that you feel about what's coming our way or what they say is currently kind of in trend right now?
No, just curious to see how, like, what takes off and that kind of things, and what kind of is forgotten. It's always interesting to see.
And interesting to see like some of those like more drastic ones too. It's like, oh, well, your device, your watch, your whatever. And it's like, oh, just kidding. Nothing.
Yes.
Interesting to see like how some things are super subtle in change and some things are very like, we were like way over here and now we're way over here. So
yeah, it'll be kind of cool to track that, I think. And now having this like out in front of our face too, and like out there, be like, oh, I wonder if we're ever going to hear about like Jin Yoga or, you know, other you know, these different social media posts and things about like losing that device, not doing that, or if we see a lot more like push on gliders. I mean, you just don't really know, but it'll be cool down the way. And ultimately we can just kind of set our own trend, honestly, you know, whatever we feel like we want to push and do. We can just make it trendy, right? We can say like, this is the new thing. We're going to make it
Right.
popular and run with it. And
Your new favorite word, right? Trendy.
yeah.
Said it a lot in the last like 2 weeks.
Don't worry. Once these episodes are done, I probably won't ever say it again. I'm not on the up and up with all the trendy verbiage.
The lingo.
The lingo. Yeah. So yeah, you guys don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave us some feedback. Comment on anything that you want us to talk about, what you liked about this episode, maybe some takeaways, maybe sharing what you're excited about for the new fitness trend that might be coming or what we're already currently doing. Yeah, so just let us know what you think. And don't forget, you guys have an amazing challenge coming at you here soon. Burpees and squat tags ladder challenge. We were just talking about this all day workout. This will take you short, sweet, torturous, but it'll be so worth it. So make sure that you look for that video as well. And we'll see you guys again soon. Have a nice day. Bye.